Yes, story 7 today, or part 4. As we are rounding up book 2, I can't wait to start book 3. I can't remember what book 3 is about, but yes, I'm really enjoying these stories, following the stories from creation when we started, all the characters we have read about. It's been a beautiful journey, and it continues. Today we are on story 7, and it says, Building the Tabernacle. Building the tabernacle, some people might want to call it building the sanctuary or the tabernacle. This story is found in Exodus chapter 36. Shall we pray? Good morning, dear Jesus. This day is for you. I ask you to bless all I think, say, and do. Amen. Story 7. For the next 3 months, the camp of Israel was like a beehive. Everybody was busy and happy. Having lots to do made them forget their troubles. Young Bezalel was right on the job, leading out in all the plans for building the tabernacle. Helping him was a group of other young people, almost as skilled as he was, and they were all volunteers. They wanted to work on the tabernacle. No wonder they did such a beautiful job. When people truly love their work, there is no limit to what they can do. Moses turned over to the workers the piles and piles of gifts that the people had brought to him. And the very first thing they had to do was to sort everything out. Things made of gold went into one bin, those made of silver into another, and pieces of bronze went to a third. The many kinds of precious stones made a sorting job of its own. The goat skin, the ram skins, and the sea cow skins all had to be separated into piles, and the linen, the spices, the dyes, and all the rest had to be organized. When thousands of people begin giving, no one knows what will turn up. And once the people began to give, they didn't want to stop. Morning after morning, they lined up with more and more gifts until the sorters didn't know what to do with everything. Tell them to stop, they begged Moses. We have far too much already. Moses came to see for himself. The report was true, so he sent messengers through the camp. They told the people not to bring anything more. I wouldn't be surprised if some were disappointed. I can imagine some little boy saying, Mama, I was just going to give that silver ring I've been saving all this time, and now they don't want it. And his mama saying, It's too late now, son. You should have given it before. Or a little girl may have said, Mama, I had just about made up my mind to give my pretty necklace. You know, the one with the emeralds in it. Her mama replied, You should have made up your mind earlier. Now it's too late. It was too late for anyone else to have a part in giving to God's sanctuary. As soon as all the gifts were sorted, work began on the building. Some men cut the acacia wood into boards of right size for the sides and ends of the sanctuary. Others melted down the various metals, made molds for the casting, and began to beat the gold into thin sheets. Some of the women spun thread for the fine linen. Others spun goat's hair for one of the curtains. Still others prepared the dyes, careful to get exactly the right colors. Bezalel gave special attention to the ark, which was to contain the 10 commandments. Because the glory of God would appear above it, he made it as perfect as he could. Of all the work he had ever done in his life, this was his finest. Never had he joined pieces of wood so exactly. Never had he beaten out gold so smoothly. There was not a crack or dent or rough spot anywhere. What a thrill he must have felt as he worked on the mercy seat. Imagine a mere man making a mercy seat for the great God of heaven. I'm sure that Bezalel polished and polished and polished that slab of solid gold until it shone like a mirror without a mark or a scratch on it anywhere. Above the mercy seat he put 2 golden cherubim, which with great skill and many hours of work he had beaten out of solid gold. When everything was finished, he must have stood back and looked at the beautiful shining box with honest pride, but still he wished that his poor hands might have made it better. Then he worked on the golden altar of incense and the golden seven-branched lampstand. He made each one with the same loving care, hoping that God would be pleased. Day by day, the work went on. Those who were not able to help crowded around to watch, and each piece of the tabernacle gradually took shape. Back in their tents at night, the Israelites must have talked about what they had seen, just as people today talk about a baseball game or other popular event. They didn't have radios or TVs or newspapers to entertain them at night, and the building of the tabernacle was the only thing of much interest going on for hundreds of miles around. Perhaps the things they saw being crafted so carefully made them curious about why God wanted the tabernacle built the way it did. Maybe many went to Moses to ask him about the meaning of everything. This gave Moses an opportunity to tell the story of God's plan of salvation over and over again. At last, just 6 months from the day the work was begun, Bezalel reported that everything was finished. The tabernacle, the lovely golden furniture, and the altar of bronze were done. The long curtain that was to act as a sort of fence around everything, even the rich robes that Aaron and his sons were to wear, had all been made just as Moses had asked. "Well done, Bezalel," I'm sure Moses said, for it was a wonderful thing the young man had accomplished out there in the desert, with not a single power tool to help him. Then, just 1 year after Israel left Egypt, on the very morning of the first anniversary of their deliverance, the tabernacle was set up. What excitement! Everybody was there to see it happen. Men, women, and children. Never before had such an enthusiastic audience gathered to see a building go up. When the furniture was moved in, Moses himself made sure that everything was put in its right place. He was the one who placed the 2 tablets of the law in the ark and covered them with the mercy seat. At last, everything was in order. So far as Moses could see, everything had been done exactly according to the pattern God had showed him on the mountain. But would it please God? Was he satisfied? Suddenly, as everyone stood watching and wondering, the cloud covered the tent of meeting, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. It must have been a tremendous sight. Everybody was thrilled, but the happiest person of all was Bezalel. He had tried so hard. He had done the best he knew how. Now God had been pleased to accept the work of his hands. Oh, it's a beautiful story. You know, when we do our best, God blesses our best, and our best becomes best, best, best. So it is good to work for God, boys and girls. Volunteer to do things, volunteer to pray, to sing in church, to do work for God. It is really, really good to work for God. And after you've worked for God, you feel good. You feel at peace in your heart. Thank you, boys and girls, for joining me. Let us all be like Bezalel, who God chooses to work for him. See you again tomorrow as we read the last story of Volume 2. God bless.